عطف علي بمجدك وعطف علي بمجدك واحفظني برحمتك واجعل لساني بذكرك لهجا وقلبي بحبك متيما ومن علي بحسن إجابتك وأقلني أثرتي واغفر زلتي فإنك قضيت على عبادك بعبادتك وأمرتهم بدعائك وزمنت لهم الإجابة فإليك يا ربي نسبت وجهي وإليك يا ربي مددت يدي وبعزتك استجب لي دعائي وبلغني مناي ولا تقطع من فضلك رجائي واكفني شر الجن والإنس من عدائي يا سريع الرضا يا سريع الرضا اغفر لمن لا يملك إلا الدعاء فإنك فعال لما تشاء يا من اسمه دواء وذكره شفاء يا من اسمه دواء وذكره شفاء طاعته غنى ارحم من رأس ماله الرجاء وسلام البكاء يا سابق النعم يا دافع النغم يا نور المستوحشين في الظلام يا عالما لا يعلم صل على محمد وآل محمد وافعل بما تحلو وصلى الله على رسوله والأئمة الميامين من آله وسلم تسليما كثيرا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين رحم الله من غرق فاتحة مع الصلوات.
بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات.
صلوات الله.
These are the words written in tears, let them to you paint an image. When Jabir comes to Karbala, which body does he first visit? Hussein or Abbas? Hussein or Abbas? Words that reside inside my soul, and each word wants two different things. How can I love intertwined flames, yet their own bodies lie separate? between the Safa and Marwa, enchained in a painful moment. Hussein calls for him whilst Abbas cries for the woman in the tents. Both voices break apart his mind. One lies left by horses trampled, the other's voice never ending. Forgive me, Master, I failed. Hussein, Abbas, Hussein, Abbas. Why was I gifted hands to write when Abbas's hands are severed? How can I drink for nourishment when Hussein's thirst I've remembered? When Jabir asks Hussein's body, he answers, go to my brother. When Jabir turns to the river, Abbas says, bring Hussein water. I ask both Safa and Marwa, never will you leave each other. So why do Hussein and Abbas both scream farewell, oh my brother Hussein? Oh Abbas, Hussein. Oh Jabir, no, I am Abbas, and I am of Ali's descent. They are the sons of Muhammad, and to protect them I had meant. Yet tell Hussein I have failed, and plays on my mind this event. Woman between horses running, for this future nation's lament. O future people, forgive me. I gave both my hands and my eye. I swear if my Lord allowed me from my murder, I would arise. Hussein, oh Abbas, Hussein, oh Jabir, no, I am Hussein. Does Abbas in regret reside when my back's broken after him and my soul has died with his plight? He never once called me brother, letters of his name I'd recite. Not once did he look in my eye when Jabir I longed for his sight. And yet still even with his death my brother is ashamed near me. Jabir, tell all those who visit to visit Abbas before me. Hussein, oh Abbas, Hussein, oh. From the ink that flows in my pen to the land with bodies ridden, Hussein tells Jabir, forget us, turn your eyes towards our woman. Watch as they scream out both our names as we lie on the ground fallen, as they run from tent towards tent, as run between horses orphans. Watch Zainab upon my body, she calls out, oh my Lord, accept, and my daughters run to Abbas. Oh Abbas, your woman protect. Hussein, oh Abbas, Hussein, oh Abbas. So what?
Brothers and sisters, please recite 3 loudest salawat to welcome Dr. Akber Mithani. Salawat.
سورة المباركة الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين شفيع المذنبين وخاتم النبيين نبينا وشفينا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم ارزقني شفاعة الحسين يوم الورود وثبت لي قدم صدق عندك مع الحسين وأصحاب الحسين الذين بذلوا مهجهم دون الحسين عليه السلام. Elders of the community, respected sisters and brothers in Islam, Salamun Alaikum Jami'an wa Rahmatullahi wa Barakatuh. As we commemorate today the martyrdom and the shahadat of this great lady and the wafaat of this great lady, Ummul Banin, Afdhal Salatu Wassalam. Ummul Banin is a personality that many think of her greatness in the context of her relationship with the commander of the faithful, Amir al-Mu'mineen, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. And sometimes we do this because we perhaps don't know the greatness of this lady, and so we associate the greatness of this lady in the context of her relationship, the fact that she was the wife of the commander of the faithful. And it's a little bit sometimes like the way we look at Zulaykha in the context of Yusuf, and the greatness of Zulaykha in the context of Yusuf, whereas Zulaykha in its own was a personality that showed transformation in a way that has been, that is worthy of contemplation. But this lady, Ummul Banin, is a lady where we need to understand her greatness with respect to her own existential existence and greatness. Her own greatness that she is within herself is what we need to understand Ummul Banin as. You know, I would go as far as saying that as we talk about Fatima Az-Zahraa, salamullahi alayha, and we say Fatima is Fatima, and we talked about Janab Zainab, and we said Zainab is Zainab, the same way we have to talk about Ummul Banin and say Ummul Banin is Ummul Banin in her own existential greatness. One of the qualities that you will see of Ummul Banin is a quality from her own family and the quality of nobility and ethics and akhlaq and morality. And this is actually shown, you know, the nobleness and nobility of the family is shown actually in that first instance where we are perhaps historically introduced to Ummul Banin, when that message of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam comes to her with Aqil, right? The message of marriage, right? The proposal of marriage that Aqil comes and brings to the father of Ummul Banin. And that's perhaps the first time that Ummul Banin historically is presented to us. But look at the nobility of this family. Here you have the commander of the faithful, yeah? Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. He has come with a proposal for this great lady. And he has come to the house with Aqil to propose to Ummul Banin. Aqil brings the proposal. The father of Ummul Banin, at that time, you see, you have to understand the historical context, right? The commander of the faithful, his proposal has come. It is a great news for this family, right? And in those days, it would be the father who would accept the proposal. And culturally at that time, people, the father would accept the proposal on behalf of the daughter without even asking the daughter. And if it is the message and proposal of Amir al-Mu'mineen, what need is there to ask, when you have Amir al-Mu'mineen's proposal coming? But look at the akhlaq and the nobility of this family. When the message comes, the first thing that the father says to Amir al-Mu'mineen and Aqil, give me some time, for I need to go and ask Banin, I need to go and ask my daughter whether she is accepting of this proposal. And he goes into the room of the house, and history says that Banin is actually lying on the lap of her mother. And as the father brings this proposal, there is a sense of joy that comes into the hearts of the mother and also into Banin. And Banin, narrates a dream that she has the night before. And she says, "Oh mother, I had a vision that I was in this green, luxurious garden. And there were flowing brooks and many fruits that were there. And the moon and the stars were shining, and I was staring at them, thinking about the greatness of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the sky that lied above without pillars to even support the sky. And I was looking at the light of the moon and the stars. And as I was lost in these thoughts, suddenly the moon came down from the sky and lay on my lap." The moon came down from the sky and lay on my lap. And it was glowing so brightly that I was completely dazzled. And completely stunned, I saw 4 other bright stars descend onto my lap as well. The interpretation of this dream by the father of Ummul Banin and the mother was that indeed, this is a dream of yours that has chosen you as the person to be married to Amir al-Mu'mineen. For the symbolic coming down of the moon is Amir al-Mu'mineen, and the 4 stars are the children of Amir al-Mu'mineen. So what this dream shows us really is this great station that Ummul Banin has. Great level. She was chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, chosen to be the companion and the wife of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wasalam. And this is not easy for her. This was at a time for her where she's trying to fill the shoes of Fatima Az-Zahraa salamullahi alayha. Not an easy thing to do. Right? A time where there was intense grief in the family. Fatima Az-Zahraa salamullahi alayha had just passed away. There was intense grief, right, and stress in the family, especially with respect to the way the death that surrounded Fatima Az-Zahraa. She comes in to provide that support to the children. She is that pillar that is there now to take care and provide emotional and spiritual support to the children of Fatima Az-Zahraa. Not easy, eh? Very challenging for her. But she is able to be able to, do this responsibility, carry out this responsibility in the best of ways. Why? Because she comes from a family that is noble. It has nobility. And the family has some characteristics. There are three major characteristics of the family. The first characteristics of this family is that it's a family of poets. They were known for their poetry. But also the most important characteristic of this family was its nobility, its morality, and its ethics. It was known as a family that was exemplary in its akhlaq, in its morality and its ethics. And the third quality, of course, which was an important quality, was that it came from a family that showed bravery and courage. And we're not only talking about physical courage here, it is a family that showed not only physical courage, but spiritual courage as well. So this is what the family is, right? And today we want to talk about, last year, alhamdulillah, I had also an opportunity to talk about Ummul Banin at her Wafaat. Today I want to look at another aspect which we didn't cover last time. As she enters the house of Amir al-Mu'mineen, she develops this very deep heart-to-heart relationship and compassion for the children, right? This is how she is able to manifest and express the morality and the ethics and the amazing quality of humbleness that she is got, that she's able to reflect now. This is from her lineage. This is from her family that she is able to do this. She has only one approach, and this is the approach we want to talk about. Her only approach is that approach of servanthood and loyalty. Servitude and loyalty. She gives the children of Fatima Az-Zahraa, salamullahi alayha, she gives them more care, more preference compared to her own children. Right? This is the peak of morality and ethics and humbleness, right? She even refuses to be called by her own name, which is Fatima. She doesn't want her to be, she just tells Imam al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, don't call me by the name Fatima. Why? Because if you call me by the name Fatima, this will remind the children of Fatima Az-Zahraa, salamullahi alayha, and that reminder of them, of their mother, perhaps will be hurtful to them. So do not call me by my name even. She takes the position of servitude and loyalty, right? This is, her approach, which is wilaya-centric, understanding wilayat, right? And we need to learn from this attitude of Ummul Banin. Why? Because sometimes we think of wilaya as just something that is conceptual, right? Our understanding of wilaya is very conceptual. Yes, Amir al-Mu'mineen, we talk about the wilaya of Imam Ali alayhi salam, but it's conceptual. Wilaya is not a conceptual thing. Wilaya is not a conceptual issue. It is something that needs to be reflected in action. I can say all I want, that I am committed to the wilaya of Amir al-Mu'mineen, alayhi salatu wasalam, but if my actions do not show it, then I am not wilaya-centric. I may say it, but I'm not wilaya-centric. It needs to be manifested, and it manifests only in the form of servitude and loyalty. Her tarbiyah, therefore, towards her own children was through her actions, not just her words. Yes? She practically shows her children, her own children, how they need to be wilaya-centric and serve the children of Fatima Az-Zahraa. That is centricity in wilaya, right? And the loyalty and servitude of Abul Fadl Abbas alayhi salam is seen in action during Karbala because of the nurturing and the upbringing of Ummul Banin. This is what you see, right? She is showing how parents are critical in inspiring faith and morals into their children through action and through role modeling, right? The Vilaya-centric approach is manifested by Abu Fadl Abbas alayhi salam in Karbala. Yeah? And you know, I've spoken about this khutbah of Hazrat Abu Fadl Abbas that he gives on top of the Kaaba, yes? When, Imam Hussein, in the 60 Hijrah, when he is in Mecca and he is being basically kicked out of Mecca because people have come to kill him, and he breaks his Hajj to Umrah and he leaves, right, Mecca. And at that time, Abu Fadl Abbas ascends onto the rooftop of the Kaaba and gives a khutbah. And I have mentioned this khutbah before. Ayyatuhal kafaratul fajara. Yes? He calls the people who are doing tawaf kafaratul fajara. You infidels and you evil people. And he says to them that you are, basically trying to get rid of the Imam when you do not understand who this person is. This is the Vilaya centricity that Abu Fadl Abbas has as a result of the nurturing and upbringing of Ummul Banin. He says to them that if it was not for the will of Almighty Allah, the divine mystery and the divine test, then he says, surely the house of Allah would move towards the Imam. The house of Allah would move towards the Imam, whilst the people are touching the Hajr Aswad, the black stone. He said this Hajr Aswad would have gone and flown towards, the word he uses is flown. It would have flown towards Aba Abdullah al-Hussein to touch his blessed hands. And he says, you are kicking him out? You want to get rid of him? The quality of wilaya that he's talking about, Abu Fadl and Imam Hussein, he says that the embodiment of the Kaaba is Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. You are doing Hajj and Tawaf when you don't understand that the real Hajj is to be with the wali of your time. Is to be with Imam Hussein. We want to kiss the Hajr Aswad, yeah, when we go to Umrah and to Hajj, yes? But the Hajr Aswad wants to kiss the hands of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. Understand the depth and the basira of Abu Fadl Abbas alayhi salatu wassalam. And that has come from none other than Ummul Banin. Servitude and loyalty. Understanding wilaya in action. Right? And this is why she is given such respect by Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam, right? Because of her values and because she is able to express her morality and ethics, her servitude and royalty. Why? Because she has a deep understanding, ma'arifah, and a love, muhabba, of spirituality and wilaya. This is Ummul Banin, right? Her loyalty and servitude towards the wali of her time is even further expressed when this caravan returns. After the events of Karbala, when the caravan returns back to Medina, and Bashir goes into the Muhalla of Banu Hashim and announces that the caravan has returned, she says to Bashir, she comes to Bashir and she says to Bashir, oh Bashir, tell me what has happened to my Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. She does not ask about any of her 4 sons who have been martyred in Karbala. She says, what has happened to my Aba Abdullah al-Hussein? And Bashir replies to her and tells her about her 4 sons that have been martyred. But she then says to him that, "Oh Bashir, you have brought such bad news that you have shocked and scared me to death. But tell me about Aba Abdullah al-Hussein." And she says, "May my offspring and all that is under the blue sky be sacrificed for Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. I'm not interested in my 4 children. Tell me about my Hussein." This is wilaya centricity. Wilaya centricity. Understanding the wali of your time. She has no desire other than servitude and commitment to the wali of her time. Right? The power of her faith, as well as her adherence to Imam Hussein, is shown in this statement then when she says, "If my Imam Hussein is alive, the martyrdom of all my 4 sons does not matter." It does not matter. This reveals the elevated faith of Ummul Banin. Yeah? An appreciation of wilaya stems from the fact that one considers themselves to have absolute poverty. Yes? Absolute faqr. Right? Completely in the need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is where wilaya centricity comes from. When you have this understanding and love, it then allows you to expose, manifest, and reflect the quality of sacrificing your own desires, sacrificing your own wishes to achieve a higher spiritual goal. That is wilaya. And this is what she shows. And this is what she has inculcated into her own children. This is what she has done. Sacrificing her own children for Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. And again, look at how Abul Fadl Abbas alayhi salam shows this in Karbala, right? He goes to the Nahr of Furat. He is able to reach Furat. He goes to the Furat. He is immersed himself in Furat. His horse is in Furat. He takes water in his hands. He looks at the water. He can drink it. He can drink it. And what would have been the problem if he had drunk it? There would no problem with that. He could have drunk the water. But how could he? How could he? Why? Because he has learned from Ummul Banin. What has he learned? He has learned that he has sacrificed his own will for the wali of his time. How can he drink water when his wali is thirsty in the Khaymagah? This is the tarbiyah of Ummul Banin. This is Ummul Banin. You know, recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. This year, you know, there has been a special message from Ayatollah Sistani. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lengthen his life. And this year, Ayatollah Sistani had a very specific and special message for the mothers of the community, of our community. And emphasizing to the mothers of our community around the importance of the role of the mothers in how they need to model themselves, creating themselves as role models with the highest level of akhlaq to be able to inspire the children. Inshallah, I will give the full message of Agha at the annual general meeting that we'll have on January 21st. Because it's a very important message that we got from him this year. She comes, Ummul Banin. She comes from the family of poets, yeah? And she herself is a poet. Right? Look at the wilaya centricity of Ummul Banin, yeah? after the events of Karbala, she knows that she still has a role. And her role now is to propagate the message of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Her role is to propagate the message of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, to keep the mission of Imam Hussein alive. That is her role. That is what Wilaya centricity is. In action, she is showing what Wilaya centricity is. Her 4 children have been martyred. Her 4 sons have been martyred. Abu Abdullah al-Hussein has been martyred. But now she still understands that when you are committed to Wilaya, you have to continue to spread the mission and the message of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. So as a poet, and this is a hadith from our 5th holy Imam, Imam Muhammad al-Baqir, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, where he says that after the events of Karbala, whenever Banin heard of the martyrdom of her sons, particularly the martyrdom of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, she would go to the cemetery of Baqi. She would go to Baqi in Medina, and where she would commemorate the martyrdom of Imam Hussein and propagate the message and mission of Imam Hussein, and done it in a way through poetry, with deep grief on this godly personalities. And the people of Medina would join to listen to her words of poetry. And Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam says that this was so touching that even Marwan bin Hakam, who is the enemy of the household of the Prophet, he even was moved to tears by the elegies and lamentations of Banin. Abbas aaye, ruhe shujaat bane hue, जाने वफा वकार इताअत बने हुए, भाई के हक में पैकर नुसरत बने हुए, मादर की शान बाप की इज्जत बने हुए, माँ गोद में जो लेती थी उस नाज़नीन को ज़हरा सलाम करती है उम्मुल बनीन को। ज़हरा सलाम करती है उम्मुल बनीन। This is the personality of Ummul Banin. And I want to end very briefly to talk about the importance of giving tawassul of Ummul Banin. The tawassul of Ummul Banin. When you have and we have a desire, and when we have a hajat, I tell you the power of the tawassul of Ummul Banin. Where you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through Ummul Banin as a wasila. One of the greatest mujtahids used to do this perpetually all the time, and that was Ayatollah Khoi. Ayatollah Khoi used to give the wasila of Ummul Banin all the time. He would carry out a mustahab act of worship and he would gift it to Ummul Banin. He would recite Salatul Layl, he would gift it to Ummul Banin. Any act of worship, mustahab you carry out, you gift it to Ummul Banin, and then through her wasila, ask for your desire. So many examples are there. I'll give you one example. I'll give you an example of a Hanafi couple. This is from Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. It was a couple that followed the Hanafi school of thought. In the city of Qut in Iraq, there used to be mourning sessions, lamentation sessions, held for Ummul Banin, alayhi salam. Mourning sessions that were held for Ummul Banin in the house of a lady by the name of Hajiyya. And this was Hajiyya Abdul Amir. And this used to be held as a tradition from the 11th of Muharram till the 20th of Muharram. Sessions of Banin, lamentations of Banin. And when these sessions were held in the same city, a Hanafi, family moved into that neighborhood. And the lady's name of this family, Hanafi family, was Wazira. Wazira. And she was trying to bear children, but she was infertile. She was not able to bear any children. And she had tried for almost 10 years. And she was not able to have a baby for 10 years. And she had lost all hope. And she came to this locality. And her neighbors went to her, of course, greeted her because she was new in the locality. And she told them about her problem, that I've been trying to have a child for the last 10 years and I haven't been able to. And they said to her that, why do you not invoke the wasila of Banin? And Wazira answered to them, he said, there's no use in doing this. He said, I've tried all kinds of medicine and I've tried everything. I even have done traditional medicines. And he says, I used to also fast on the birthday of Zachariah, but nothing has happened. And this neighborhood said to her, the women in this neighborhood said that, listen, why don't you attend one of these majalises of Banin, where we commemorate Banin, where we talk about her lamentations, where we do her masayib. You come to this gathering, and after this gathering, it is said that whoever, eats the ritual meal which is offered, this is the tabarruk that is offered of the majalis of Banin, and then gives the wasila of Banin, then their hajats are going to be accepted. Their prayers will be granted. I got to tell you, man, sometimes, we take tabarruk very lightly. Eh? How many times have we complained? A kosko na biski type right? Alhamdulillah, we have a tabarruk committee that is going to give good tabarruk, inshallah. But the essence of the tabarruk is very important, my friends. And this thing here, this particular place where they used to commemorate the lamentations of Banin, and then give tabarruk, and then ask for the hajat, they said this has a blessing in it. And the power in it is because the power of what Allah has given to this personality of Banin. So this lady, Wazira, she says that, okay, I'll do so. She didn't know much about Banin. Eh? She was a Hanafi. So she says that, okay, I'm going to come to this majalis, this lamentation that's going to happen, but please do not, let's make it a secret. I don't want my wife, my husband and my family to know about this, because they're Hanafi. They'll get very upset at me. So she came, and she wore a veil, and she wore a naqab so nobody could recognize her. And she attended the lamentation majalis of Banin. And as she entered, she had fear, but she also had hope. And as she listened to the masayib, she had a softening of her heart. And she connected in this gathering to the lamentations of Banin. And after that, a prayer was said, and then tabarruk was given, and she took the tabarruk, and she even brought some of the tabarruk home for her family. But she did not tell her family about the tabarruk. But then she asked for her prayers with the wasila of Banin. And the narrations say that A month passed after this event had happened where she had attended the majalis of Ummul Banin. And after a month, she became sick. And when she was taken to the physicians, they thought that something was wrong with her, but the physicians then said to the family that Wazira is now pregnant and she's going to bear a child. This is the wasila of Ummul Banin. She has this power. The etiquette of the ziyarah of Babul Hawaij, Abul Fadl Abbas alayhi salatu wassalam, is that etiquette that when you enter that haram, you ask Babul Hawaij through his mother Ummul Banin. And may Allah give us the opportunity to go and visit the haram of Abul Fadl Abbas, inshallah. Give that wasila. Because this, my friends, is the power of this lady. It's the power of Ummul Banin. Because she has been blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because of her wilaya centricity. Servitude and loyalty at the highest level of Ummul Banin. Azadaraan Hussain, ہمیں روایت میں ملتا ہے کہ جب ابا عبداللہ الحسین مدینے سے نکلے ہیں اور اس وقت تک کہ جب کہ یہ لوٹا ہوا قافلہ مدینہ واپس آیا ہے، جب مدینے سے ابا عبداللہ نکلے ہیں اور اس وقت تک جب یہ لوٹا ہوا قافلہ مدینہ واپس آیا ہے، تو ام البنین کی ایک عجیب کیفیت ہے، عجیب کیفیت ہے۔ اگر کوئی مسافر مدینہ آتا تھا تو ام البنین یہ پوچھتی تھی کہ کیا حسین کی کوئی خبر لے کے آئے ہو؟ کیا نواسہ رسول کی کوئی خبر لے کے آئے ہو؟ روایت میں ہمیں ملتا ہے اگر پوچھا ہے ام البنین نے تو صرف ابا عبداللہ کے بارے میں پوچھا ہے، کبھی بھی عباس کا تذکرہ نہیں کیا، کبھی ابو الفضل عباس کے بارے میں نہیں پوچھا، اگر پوچھا ہے تو صرف حسین کے بارے میں پوچھا۔ اور جب یہ قافلہ مدینے سے جا رہا تھا تو ام البنین ایک مرتبہ آتی ہے ابا عبداللہ الحسین کے پاس، قافلہ تیار ہو گیا تھا، اب قافلہ جا رہا ہے مدینے سے، مدینے کی روانگی ہو رہی ہے، قافلہ جا رہا ہے۔ ایک مرتبہ ام البنین ابا عبداللہ کے پاس آ کے ہاتھ جوڑ کے کہتی ہے آقا اگر اجازت ہو تو میں عباس کے ساتھ اکیلے میں کچھ باتیں کرنا چاہتی ہوں۔ امام الحسین نے اجازت دی۔ ایک مرتبہ ام البنین نے عباس کے ہاتھ کو تھاما، کہا ابو الفضل میرے ساتھ آؤ، ابو الفضل میرے ساتھ آؤ۔ ابو الفضل کے عباس کے ہاتھ کو پکڑ کے ام البنین مسجد النبوی میں آتی ہے، مسجد النبوی میں قبر رسول پہ آتی ہے۔ ایک مرتبہ ام البنین قبر رسول پہ بیٹھ جاتی ہے، ابو الفضل عباس کو کہتی ہے عباس میرے ساتھ بیٹھ جاؤ۔ عباس بیٹھ گیا۔ اب ام البنین کہتی ہے عباس اپنا ایک ہاتھ قبر رسول پہ رکھو۔ ابو الفضل عباس نے ایک ہاتھ قبر رسول پہ رکھا، ام البنین نے کہا اب دوسرا ہاتھ ماں کے سر پہ رکھو۔ عباس نے دوسرا ہاتھ ام البنین کے سر پہ رکھا۔ اب ام البنین نے کہا عباس اب یہ قسم کھاؤ کہ تمہارے یہ دو ہاتھ اس وقت تک سلامت رہیں گے جب تک حسین زندہ رہے گا، جب تک زینب کی چادر محفوظ رہے گی۔ ابو الفضل عباس نے ام البنین سے کہا اماں میں قسم کھاتا ہوں کہ عباس کے ہاتھ اس وقت تک سلامت ہوں گے جب تک میرا آقا زندہ ہوگا، جب تک میری بہن کے سر پہ۔ وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنقَلِبٍ يَنقَلِبُونَ إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ۔ We ask you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the wasila of this great lady, Ummul Bani, whose majalis we have just recited and commemorated his wafaat, that with her wasila, Allah, there are members of this community who have gathered here. We ask you through her wasila, O Allah, accept all our hajats and all our desires through Ummul Banin. We ask you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the people who are sick and having problems in our community, relieve them of all their difficulties with the wasila of Ummul Banin. We ask you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there are members of our community who are in hospital, give them a full, fast and complete recovery through the wasila of Ummul Banin. We ask you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to hasten the reappearance of our 12th Holy Imam and to make us amongst those who will be the helpers of our Imam. Matam Hussein, Ya Hussein.
Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. उम्मुल बनी ने अपना भरा घर लुटा दिया. उम्मुल बनी ने अपना भरा घर लुटा दिया. अब्बास को वफाओं का, अब्बास को वफाओं का काबा बना दिया. उम्मुल बनी ने अपना भरा घर लुटा दिया. उम्मुल बनी ने अपना भरा घर लुटा दिया. उम्मुल बनी ने अपना भरा घर लुटा दिया. माँओं की एक तमन्ना है बच्चों की जिंदगी. इस माँ की कोई देखे तो इसारो बंदगी. बेटे को शह पे मरने का, बेटे को शह पे मरने का मसदर पढ़ा दिया. उम्मुल बनी ने अपना भरा घर लुटा दिया. उम्मुल बनी ने अपना भरा घर लुटा. अब्दुल्ला और जाफर ओ इमरान से पिसर, पाले जरी के साथ ही अरमान से पिसर. और फिर उन्हें हुसैन का, और फिर उन्हें हुसैन का सदका बना दिया. उम्मुल बनी ने अपना भरा घर लुटा दिया. उम्मुल बनी ने अपना भरा घर लुटा दिया. वीरानियाँ थी जितनी मोहम्मद के शहर में, जितने बढ़े अंधेरे मसाइब के दहर में, उतना चिराग सब्र की, उतना चिराग सब्र की लह को बढ़ा दिया. उम्मुल बनी ने अपना भरा घर लुटा दिया. उम्मुल बनी ने अपना भरा घर लुटा दिया. बीबी के मरसियों से जिगर कट के रह गया. गर्दिश बढ़ी लहू की तो दिल ही तो फट गया। हर बहन ने शहीदों का, हर बहन ने शहीदों का चेहरा दिखा दिया। उम्मुल बनी ने अपना भरा घर लौटा दिया। उम्मुल बनी ने अपना भरा घर लौटा दिया। या हुसैन, या हुसैन।
बर मोहम्मदिन वाले मोहम्मद सलवात। ज़ियारत वारिसा।
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. زيارة ورثة. السلام عليك يا وارث آدم صفوة الله. السلام عليك يا وارث نوح النبي الله. السلام عليك يا وارث إبراهيم خليل الله. السلام عليك يا وارث موسى كليم الله. السلام عليك يا وارث عيسى روح الله. السلام عليك يا وارث محمد حبيب الله. السلام عليك يا وارث أمير المؤمنين ولي الله. السلام عليك يا ابن محمد المصطفى. السلام عليك يا ابن علي المرتضى. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء. السلام عليك يا ابن خديجة الكبرى. السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور. أشهد أنك قد أقمت الصلاة وآتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وأطعت الله ورسوله حتى أتاك اليقين. فلعن الله أمة قتلتك ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأسلاب الشامخة والأرحام المطهرة. لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها ولم تلبسك من مدلهمات ثيابها. وأشهد أنك من دعائم الدين وأركان المؤمنين. وأشهد أنك الإمام البر التقي الرضي الزكي الهادي المهدي. وأشهد أن الأئمة من ولدك كلمة التقوى وأعلام الهدى والعروة الوثقى والحجة على أهل الدنيا. وأشهد الله وملائكته وأنبياءه ورسله أني بكم مؤمن وبإيابكم موقن بشراع ديني وخواتيم عملي وقلبي لقلبكم سان وأمري لأمركم متبع. صلوات الله عليكم وعلى أرواحكم وعلى أجسادكم وعلى أجسامكم وعلى شاهدكم وعلى غائبكم وعلى ظاهركم وعلى باطنكم. زيارة حضرة علي أكبر. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك يا ابن نبي الله، السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا ابن الحسين الشهيد، السلام عليك أيها الشهيد وابن الشهيد، السلام عليك أيها المظلوم وابن المظلوم. لعن الله أمة قتلتك، ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك، ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. زيارة شهداء كربلاء. السلام عليكم يا أولياء الله وأحباءه، السلام عليكم يا أصفياء الله ووداءه، السلام عليكم يا أنصار دين الله، السلام عليكم يا أنصار رسول الله، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليكم يا أنصار فاطمة سيدتي نساء العالمين، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أبي محمد الحسن بن علي الولي الزكي الناصح، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أبي عبد الله، بأبي أنتم وأمي، طبتم وطابت الأرض التي فيها دفنتم، وفزتم فوزا عظيما، فيا ليتني كنت معكم فأفوز معكم. زيارة حضرة عباس. السلام عليك يا أبا الفضل العباس بن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا ابن سيد الوصين، السلام عليك يا ابن أول القوم إسلاما، وأقدمهم إيمانا، وأقومهم بدين الله، وأحوطهم على الإسلام. أشهد لقد نصحت لله ولرسوله ولأخيك فنعم الأخ المواسي، فلعن الله أمة قتلتك، ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك، ولعن الله أمة استحلت منك المحارم وانتهكت حرمة الإسلام. فنعم الصابر المجاهد المحامي الناصر، والأخ الدافع عن أخيه، المجيب إلى طاعة ربه الراغب فيما زهد فيه غيره من الثواب الجزيل والثناء الجميل. والحقك الله بدرجة آبائك في جنات النعيم، وعلى 9 المعصومين من ذريتك، علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والحجة بن الحسن، أجل الله تعالى فرجه، وسهل الله تعالى مخرجه وظهوره. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Brothers and sisters, if I can ask you to please be seated for Surah Yasin. Thank you.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون. لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون. إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون. وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون. وسواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون. إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم. إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين. واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون. قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون. قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين. قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم. قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون. وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون. وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون. أأتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغن عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون. إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين. إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون. قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين. وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وأعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالعرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشأ نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون ومن نعمره ننكسه في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون أولم ير الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. رحم الله من قرأ سورة الفاتحة.